on the computer.
Okay.
Got it.
I'd like to start by sharing a teaching from the Bhagavad Gita, and I always say that wrong, that I found inspiring. The Bhagavad Gita in 10:4 clearly states that forgiveness arises from God only. It is associated with other divine qualities such as intelligence, knowledge, freedom from delusion, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, fearlessness, nonviolence, austerity, charity, etc. God is extremely forgiving by nature. He is compassionate, all-loving, friendly, and all-forgiving. One of the lessons of the Gita is that we can seek the forgiveness of God by directly approaching him, and if our approach is sincere, we will surely be forgiven. From God's perspective, the whole creation is an extension of him, and you too are a part of him. Therefore, when he is forgiving someone, he is forgiving but an aspect of himself. That duality of this and that is in us because of our embodied nature, but not in him because he is the one indivisible self. Let us pray. Father, Mother God, we are grateful to be living in a place and time with so much potential. We are grateful for your constant and loving presence in our lives. We ask now that our guides, angels, and loved ones in spirit gather close with us as we celebrate that by repeating the prayer our brother Jesus taught. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, and we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. For those of you who don't know me, and I think most everybody here has, because Lord knows my face is all over this church in far too many places. My name is Laura Reed. I am the board president and director of education, and I am always really blessed when I'm fortunate enough to be able to speak from the podium here. So I just finished reading a wonderful book with an intriguing title, which is what attracted me in the first place. The book is titled Jesus, My Autobiography by Tina Louise Spalding. It's channeled material, which I know always makes me question the source. And I started reading the book with a healthy dose of skepticism. After all, the Bible's supposed to be an authentic source for the word of Jesus. And I never felt like much of what was attributed to him would really be something he would say. Because of that skepticism, I've always wanted to know what he really would and did say. So I began reading this without a lot of hope that I'd be convinced that this was accurate. But in my very humble opinion, this book really feels to me like his voice speaking through Tina Louise Spalding. But regardless of how you feel about the source of this material, this portion of the book really touched me, and I wanted to share because it felt really important. It's a subject that I think is incredibly important in our current times, and I love the perspective that's offered. You must always start with forgiveness, for forgiveness brings about peace in the mind. When peace arises in the mind, then you can receive information from the non-physical, and you can calm the energies in the physical body and in the mind, allowing the natural healing process of the system to take place. You see, your body-mind complex is designed to function from the vibration of love, and it is your responsibility to get yourself into that vibration. Whenever you are angry, whenever you are fearful, or whenever you are upset, you indeed inflict wounds on your body-mind complex, and you choose to do it through your judgments and your misunderstandings. So forgiveness is always the place to begin. Forgiveness brings peace to the mind. Resentments against other beings, resentments against yourself, and resentments against the body only induce a state of agitation and judgment that is further fueled by fear and anxiety and these kinds of things. So we would like you to always start with forgiveness of self and of other, of self and body. It is in practicing these acts of forgiveness that you will provide an environment in which healing can take place. Continue to take the medications, the prescriptions from doctors that you have been taking, if you feel you still need them, but include the practices of forgiveness for yourself and your body. You will find that the conditions you experience in the physical body will subside, and you will be able to decrease your medications. Now, understand, this is not me or the church saying you should stop taking your medications and ignore what your doctor has to say. This is what Jesus through Tina Louise has to say. This is something you must do cautiously and with awareness. You cannot suddenly stop your medications. If you have a mind and belief system that inherently believe in them, you will become sick again. If you do not change the structure of your mind along with changing the structure of your behaviors. When you forgive beings, you see that these are the unlovable aspects of yourself projected outward. Forgive that being in the sense of not judging him or her in the first place. You do not witness the sin and forgive the sin. You merely say that behavior is unacceptable because it is an aspect of myself. And as you witness that behavior, knowing that it is not another separate being, but an aspect of your own mind presented to you for healing and raising awareness, you immediately go into your mind and say, do I have that aspect in myself, and have I not been aware of it? Indeed, you will find that aspect in your mind beyond your conscious awareness. It has been brought in your conscious awareness by the activity of the apparently separate outside being that you are observing. And it is a gift indeed to be able to love and forgive that aspect of yourself. This is not about other beings. It is about the forgiveness of self, the reintegration of, and this is why the practice of forgiveness is so important. That is why it's so important to not be violent or vicious in your actions, because you attack yourself. As you attack yourself, you feel terrible in this place of judgment because you are reinforcing the separation. And the further you travel into separation you travel, the more pain you feel. This is what you feel when you judge someone, when you attack someone. You feel this awful sickness, this horror inside. And because you do not understand the principle of creation, you think you feel terrible because others are mean. You think you feel terrible because they attacked you. In fact, you feel terrible because you engage in viciousness, malicious talk, behavior, or judgment. And when you do that, you move further into the idea of separation, further away from what you call God or oneness, and you suffer. Forgiveness, as I teach it now, is a reinforcement of your belief in oneness and your connection to Source. As you act in accordance with the new beliefs, they will become more firmly planted in your mind. As you exist now, you have many misbeliefs and untrue teachings implanted in the mind. And the teachings here are going to seem strange because you have many, many thousands of occurrences of reinforcing untruth. Forgiveness is the most important practice based on this understanding. I'm not asking you to forgive for no reason. I am telling you to forgive because it is the key that unlocks the door to knowledge. Through the practice of forgiveness, you achieve peace, harmony, and love. And when you are in that state, you are in alignment with the non-physical and divine mind, and you will receive information from the higher vibratory source. Your life will begin to change in a way that is beyond your comprehension at this moment. That seems pretty important to me and really resonated at a deep level. So that's a lot of pretty heavy material there. So I want to shift the mood just a little bit and talk about another aspect of forgiveness. Jesus in this text does talk about self-forgiveness and how important it is for spiritual development. How do we know that we have some self-forgiveness to work on? How can we tell there's some work in this area for us to do? Well, in our emotional guidance system, we feel guilt. If that's what we are feeling, then we have some self-forgiveness to work on. And I'd like to use this little visualization for this discussion. Rick, if you want to back the Zoom and the camera out, and you haven't seen this, but there's a new camera, so a new remote.
Remote.
There's a reset button right in the middle, I think. There you go. Good enough.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. So let's pretend that this pie is a day or a week or a month, and that these pieces are tasks that you need to do in a day. So you start the morning, you're humming along, and let's see how much of a mess I can make up here. Ouch. Ooh. There's a blade on the side of that, and it's pretty sharp. I'm going to need a napkin or something. I'm bleeding a bit. Yep. Bleeding quite a bit.
Wow. You want a Kleenex?
No, this is fine, thank you. Some days are easier than others. Yeah, there's a sharp edge on that. Okay, so I'm sorry. This is awkward. A little bit. We're going to stop right there. I'm not going to cut anymore. Should have opened this too. I got a sharp surface. Let's use that. I knows it cuts pretty well. There we go. So we're going to pretend that you are severely lactose intolerant, that this is horrible for you. And if you eat this, it's really going to bother your stomach. Okay. So the end of the day comes, and you look at these two beautiful tasks. Look how well they've been accomplished. They look perfect, don't they? You're really proud of these, but you can do math, and you realize that even though these two tasks are wonderful and perfect and all of that, there's still an awful lot that did not get done. So what do you start doing? You start piling the guilt on, right? Yep, didn't get that one done. Didn't get that one done. Didn't get that one done. Oh my goodness, this is just, oh, the guilt. Oh Lord, this is just, I just, my whole day is just, I just feel guilty about this whole thing. Almost done bleeding here. And then, if you're like me and many other people, you go, look at all this, look at all this guilt I've just piled on top of here. And I look at these two and go, you know what? I should have done more. I should have done that better. I should have done that faster. I should have done. I shoulda. So even though these got done and got done perfectly, I'm piling some guilt on those too. And now I don't feel so good. So yeah, maybe you can, maybe even have help piling on the guilt. Your coworkers may add things like a helping of, well, that's not your best work, or I thought you'd have it done by 10 this morning, or something sympathetic like, I'm so sorry you don't seem up to par today. Can I help with anything? Ouch. We've spent our whole lives learning how to pile on the guilt. We've had some great teachers, our parents, our siblings, our schools, our coworkers and managers, too often our churches. And the cure for all the pain that this guilt we carry is self-forgiveness. In the text I shared before, Jesus, or Tina Louise Spalding, whoever you want to attribute that to, shares some very compelling reasons to forgive yourself. But how? Well, of course, in our society, there have been plenty of studies about the benefits and the process of self-forgiveness because we are a very analytical nation here. I'll allow each of you to do your own research if you're so inclined, but I found some from positivepsychology.com. Self-forgiveness is not an on-off switch, but a process that happens over time through emotional work and reflection. Self-forgiveness requires striking a balance between taking responsibility and maintaining a positive sense of self. When you successfully find this equilibrium, you find self-forgiveness. In psychology, the concept of self-forgiveness is still relatively new and involves a combination of emotional, motivational, and behavioral changes. Enright and the Human Development Study Group were the first to offer a concrete psychological definition of self-forgiveness as a willingness to abandon self-resentment in the face of one's acknowledged objective wrong, while fostering compassion, generosity, and love toward oneself. Enright and the Human Development Study Group highlighted three important pillars of self-forgiveness: the release of negative emotions directed toward the self, the cultivation of positive emotions directed toward the self, and an acceptance of responsibility. When we do something bad, wrong, or against our values, we may be greeted with painful negative emotions such as shame, guilt, resentment, or anger, or a pile of Cool Whip that may bother your stomach later. We may have negative thoughts such as it's all my fault and I'm a terrible person. Self-forgiveness does not mean we skip the step of feeling bad. It simply means that we work through these feelings of self-resentment and then relieve ourselves of them once they've served their purpose. Initially, remorseful feelings can be useful because they motivate us to make amends. As well as putting our negative emotions in the rearview mirror, self-forgiveness involves fostering benevolent thoughts and emotions toward the self in the form of self-compassion, love, and kindness. How many of us really practice that? It's not something we're ever taught. It's not something we're encouraged to do. It's not something that is important when you read any psychological works or, frankly, most spiritual texts. And what I love about this text from Jesus, Tina Louise Spalding, is that they explain the reason that self-forgiveness is so important. And I like understanding the whys of things. I don't like to be told this is important, you need to do this. I want to know why. Because sometimes it's not important for me, but it's important for other people and applies for someone else. I can't say this is one of those categories, but I like to judge for myself. I like to think for myself, and I think everyone here does, or you wouldn't be here. When a person has caused harm to another, Cornish and Wade suggest that self-forgiveness should also include another focused component, where the person seeks to make amends with the person they've wronged and recommits to their values. They suggest that it would make it less likely that the offense would happen again. In their model, they discuss the 4 R's of genuine self-forgiveness that could be implied in a counseling setting: responsibility, remorse, restoration, and renewal. You might wonder what the people who have no wrong to take responsibility for. No one knows anyone like that, right? I think so. As well as breaking the moral codes of our communities, we may chastise ourselves for not meeting some internal, unrealistic, or perfectionistic standard, like, I thought I could get this whole pie done. Obviously, I was wrong. My standards perhaps should be adjusted. To foster self-forgiveness in a self-directed way, this study's author suggests the following are 2 fundamental aims of the process: working toward acknowledging responsibility and reaffirming your worth. That's the part that's hard for so many people. Oh, and they break it down to 8 steps you can take to work toward self-forgiveness. And you know what? I'm just going to skip over that because this just gets too long. But it's here if anybody wants to hear the 8 steps and you can't figure it out for yourself. In the meantime, I encourage you to find the rituals, tools, information, whatever works for you, and make it a priority, because you are all worth it. Thank you. I'm now for meditation. You turn the light off, Ginger. I think we can do this without the music, Rick, then you don't have to worry about the volume.
Oh, I can just volume.
Okay. Good.
See?
Nope. Let's do it without music.
All right.
Take a couple of deep breaths here as we join together to learn, grow, and heal. We prepare ourselves by getting comfortable in our seats and gently closing our eyes, knowing we are protected and all is well. Our bodies relax into the seats, and we allow ourselves to feel fully supported. We begin by concentrating on our breathing. You take slow, deep breaths from your belly and feel your breath as it goes in and out. Breathe in the fresh, clean air and slowly just release the breath. And as you do, imagine all the strains and stresses you've been feeling are just flowing from your body. When thoughts pop into your mind, just let them go with your breath. Allow your breath to continue and feel it going in and out. Your mind becomes still, lulled into the peace and quiet with the gentle rhythm of your breathing. You feel calm and in harmony, and your mind is open to receive the gifts of the Spirit. remembering that you are in a protected place right now, surrounded by all that is loving and good. Bring gently into your mind a situation you've been carrying some guilt about. Some thought that's been circling in your mind for a while and just won't go away. This memory can't affect you right now. You're in a safe, protected place. But notice when you consider this issue, where in your body you may be feeling a bit of increased tension. Maybe your shoulders tense just a bit. Maybe it's in your belly. Wherever it is, imagine that it's only a small gray cloud. A small gray cloud that has a little weight to it. You can actually feel the weight of it as you think about it. And it's time, right at this moment, to remember that you are a perfect soul. Sometimes you do things you consider mistakes. There is no blame involved in this. There is no moral judgment involved in making an error. If you are feeling guilt over a mistake, then consider who you are hoping to offer you forgiveness. Would Jesus be condemning you for this error? Would any of the ascended masters? If they would forgive you, then perhaps it's time for you to forgive yourself. Perhaps now is a good time to call to them and ask them to please remove this weight, this tension from your body. They've been with you waiting for this, and they're so happy you finally asked them for help. So take a deep breath and exhale. And as you do, feel that weight lifted from your body. Take another deep breath and imagine white light surrounding the area where the weight and tension were. One more breath as that weight is completely lifted. And you feel only the love that is yours. Take a moment and share the joy and happiness with your guides and angels. And think about how life will be just a little bit easier for you from this moment on. And it's time now for you to return, knowing that your guides and angels are always there to help with other issues that arise along life's path. How glorious is that? You're becoming more aware of your body again. So take a deep breath in and out. And then another one. And you're completely back in your body again, feeling better than you have in a long time. Welcome home.